The sun was rising above the green hills of Yucatan, and the air smelled of wet earth after the night's rain. A young villager named Toma was working with others to clear roots from an old path near the edge of the forest. He was not strong like some of the older men, but he was quick and curious. While the others swung their tools against stubborn roots, Toma's eyes kept searching the ground for things hidden in the soil. He loved finding forgotten stones, broken pots, or shells that told stories of long ago. That morning his tool struck something hard. At first he thought it was only a flat rock, but when he brushed away the dirt with his hand, he saw lines carved into the stone. His heart leaped, for these were not random scratches. They were shapes, clear and careful, made by hands that wanted to leave a message. Toma bent close, ignoring the calls of the others who told him to hurry with his work. His fingers traced the carvings. He saw stars drawn like dots in the sky, and beneath them the outline of a great temple. Around the temple were strange markings that looked like trails of fire. At the bottom were symbols of maize and water. By the time the elders came to see what he had found, Toma was already sure this was no ordinary stone. The oldest of them, a man named Hato, studied the carvings and shook his head. "It is only an old story," Hato said. "The ancestors made many such things. They like to speak of the sky, but their words are not for us." The others agreed and went back to work, leaving the stone half buried, but Toma stayed behind. His heart beat fast as he whispered the words he had heard from storytellers since childhood: the Vault of Stars. That was the name of a hidden place said to be built by the Mayan ancestors. Some said it was a temple, others said it was a door to the heavens. When evening came, Toma could not rest. He carried water from the well and helped his mother grind maize, but his mind was far away. When the sky grew dark and the first stars appeared, he walked out to the edge of the fields. The air was cool and fireflies drifted like tiny lanterns. He lay on his back and stared at the sky. The stars seemed brighter that night. He thought of the carvings and how they looked like the very same stars above him. Could it be that the stone was not just decoration but a map? The thought filled him with excitement. He felt as if the ancestors were calling across time, asking someone to follow the path they had left. The next morning, Toma told his friend Ina about the stone. Ina was a quiet girl, but she had sharp eyes and a steady mind. She listened as Toma described the stars carved on the tablet. "If it is a map," she said, "then we can test it. We only need to wait until the stars stand in the same shape." That evening they returned to the tablet. They carried a small torch and waited for night to fall. When the sky was full of stars, Ina lifted her hand and pointed. "Look," she whispered. "That group is the same as the carvings." Toma followed her finger. She was right. The carvings showed a cluster of stars like a hunter, and there, high above, the same cluster glowed in the sky. They compared more of the carvings to the heavens and found match after match. Each line pointed toward the forest, away from the village. Toma's excitement grew. "It is real," he said. "The Vault of Stars is not just a story." Ina frowned, but her eyes shone with curiosity. "If it is real, it may be dangerous. The elders say such places are not for us." Toma shook his head. "The ancestors left these marks for someone to find. If we walk the path, maybe we will learn why." The two friends decided they would follow the star map at dawn. That night, Toma lay awake, listening to the sound of crickets and the rustle of trees. He imagined a hidden place filled with wonders. He pictured golden light falling from the sky and people long ago building a vault to guard it. When the first light of morning touched the hills, Toma and Ina set out. The forest greeted them with birdsong and the smell of flowers. The ground was damp and vines hung low, but they pressed on. Every step brought them deeper into the unknown. Toma felt fear but also joy, for he knew they were walking in the footsteps of the ancestors. By midday they reached a place where the forest grew thick. There, half hidden by roots and leaves, was an opening in the ground. Cool air drifted from within, carrying the scent of stone and water. Toma felt his skin prickle. Ina touched his arm. "This must be the beginning," she said softly. Toma nodded. The entrance was dark, yet it seemed to shine with promise. The Vault of Stars was no longer a legend. It was waiting for them, just beyond the shadows. Toma and Ina stood at the mouth of the hidden entrance. The morning sun shone through the trees, but the space before them was filled with shadow. The air that drifted out was cool and damp, as if the forest itself was breathing. Toma felt both fear and wonder. The stories of the elders had always spoken of hidden caves, of secret places where the ancestors once prayed to the sky. Now he was standing before one, not in a story but in truth. Ina knelt beside the opening. She brushed away loose soil and pulled down a heavy vine. Beneath it, they saw a stone frame carved with faint shapes. Time had worn them, but some patterns remained clear. There were stars, circles, and lines that crossed each other like paths. "It is the same hand as the stone tablet," Ina whispered. Toma touched the carvings with care. His fingers felt the grooves and he nodded. The ancestors marked this place. They wanted it to be found. With a deep breath, they stepped inside. The floor was uneven but smooth enough to walk. Their torch flame flickered, showing walls glistening with moisture. Drops of water fell with a soft sound that echoed through the tunnel. After some steps, the space opened into a wide chamber. Toma gasped. The walls were covered with minerals that caught the torchlight and reflected it like stars. The ceiling was high, almost hidden in darkness, but as the light reached upward, it revealed sparkling crystals. The whole chamber looked like the night sky captured inside the earth. Ina's eyes widened. "It is the vault," she whispered. Toma felt his chest tighten with awe. "No, this is only the beginning. The true vault must be deeper." As they explored, Ina noticed something. The glowing minerals were not random. They formed patterns. Some shone brighter than others, and when she looked closely, she saw that they resembled constellations. "Toma, look," she said, pointing at one part of the wall. "This is the same hunter shape we saw last night." Toma held the torch higher and compared the pattern to his memory of the sky. She was right. The stars on the wall were arranged just like the heavens. Slowly, he walked along the chamber, following the shining shapes. Each group of crystals matched a cluster of stars above the earth. Ina studied the floor and saw thin lines carved into the stone. They connected the shining constellations, guiding the eyes from one to another. It was as if the chamber itself was a map not of the land but of the sky. "This is the map of light," Ina said softly. "The ancestors built it to guide those who could read the stars." Toma felt his heart race. If this is the map, then it must lead us deeper. They followed the carved lines across the floor. Each line carried them toward another cluster of shining crystals. At the far side of the chamber, the lines gathered at a narrow passage. The torchlight revealed stone steps leading down into darkness. Toma's hand trembled slightly as he held the torch. "Do you think we should go?" Ina's eyes shone with courage. "The ancestors left this for us. If they wanted to hide it forever, they would not have carved the path. Let us see what waits below." Together they stepped down the stairs. The air grew cooler and carried the smell of wet stone. Their footsteps echoed, and the sound of dripping water followed them. The deeper they went, the stronger the silence became, as if the earth was holding its breath. At the bottom of the stairs, they found another chamber. This one was smaller but filled with carvings. The walls told stories in long rows of pictures. Toma held the torch close, and the figures came alive in the light. The carvings showed people standing beneath the sky with arms raised. Above them were shapes that looked like birds with long wings, yet also like vessels of stone and light. From these shapes, streams of golden rain fell to the earth. The people below gathered the shining drops and offered them beside maize and water. Ina whispered, "These are the visitors from the stars. The elders tell the story, but I never thought we would see it drawn by the ancestors themselves." Toma nodded. His eyes were wide with wonder. The gold that fell from the sky. It was not only a tale. They saw it with their own eyes. The next carving showed the people building something with the golden fragments. They shaped them into circles, feathers, and shining tools. Above them, the star visitors stretched out their hands as if giving blessings. Toma and Ina stood in silence for a long moment, staring at the wall. The carvings were more than old art. They were a message, proof that the ancestors had contact with something far greater than themselves. Ina placed her hand on the wall. "If the golden fragments were real, they may still be here. Perhaps the ancestors placed them in the vault." Toma's eyes gleamed with determination. "Then we must find it. We must see what they protected." At that moment, the torch flame flickered as if stirred by a hidden wind. From deep within the tunnel ahead, a faint glow appeared. It was not the warm color of fire, but a pale light that seemed to breathe on its own. Both of them stood frozen, hearts beating fast. The glow pulsed gently like a star hidden in the earth. Toma whispered, "The vault is calling us." Ina nodded. "And we must answer." They took a step forward, leaving the chamber of carvings behind. The faint glow guided their way, deeper into the secret that had slept beneath the forest for centuries. The pale glow from the tunnel ahead was steady, neither bright nor weak, but soft like the light of the moon. Toma and Ina walked carefully, their torch raised, though the strange glow itself lit much of the passage. The walls were smoother here, as if shaped by careful hands long ago. Patterns of stars and spirals decorated the stone. They seemed to whisper stories without words, guiding the two friends deeper. Their footsteps echoed gently. Sometimes they heard drops of water falling, but often the silence was so strong that even their breathing seemed loud. Toma felt as if the earth around them was listening. Ina walked close, her eyes alert but full of wonder. Soon the passage widened into another chamber. This one was larger than the first two, its ceiling high and round. The glowing light came from veins of crystal embedded in the walls. They shone faintly, giving the chamber the look of a night sky. At the center stood tall stone panels arranged in a circle. Each panel was covered with carvings. Toma stepped closer, holding the torch to one of the panels. He gasped. The carvings showed men and women standing with open arms, gazing at shining figures above. The shining figures were not drawn like ordinary people. Their shapes were longer, their heads surrounded by rays of light. In their hands they carried gifts that sparkled like stars. Ina moved to the next panel. This one showed maize, water, and fire being offered by the people. The shining figures accepted the gifts and in return gave golden fragments that looked like falling stars. The golden rain was drawn with care, each piece shaped like a feather or a spark. These are not just pictures, Ina whispered. They are stories. The ancestors wanted us to remember what happened here. Toma's eyes shone as he studied another panel. It showed the people building a great chamber. They carved stone blocks, raised pillars, and set crystals into the walls. Above them, the shining figures pointed, guiding their work. This chamber, Toma said softly. They built it with the help of the visitors. Maybe this is why it still stands after so many years. Ina nodded slowly. And maybe the golden fragments were placed inside to be kept safe. As they walked around the circle of panels, they saw more. One showed a group of people sitting together, their faces lifted in peace. Another showed children holding golden feathers as if they were toys of light. Yet another showed the shining figures walking away into the stars, leaving behind trails of fire across the sky. At the last panel, both of them stopped. The carving showed a closed chamber with a crystal dome. Inside the dome lay golden pieces arranged like a bird with outstretched wings. Around the dome the ancestors stood guard, their faces strong and solemn. Above the dome was a carving of the stars, as if the treasure inside was meant to reflect the heavens. Ina's voice was quiet. This must be the heart of the vault. Toma placed his hand on the panel. The stone was cool, yet he felt warmth deep inside his chest. It means the golden fragments are still here waiting. The ancestors built all this to protect them. For a moment, neither spoke. The chamber was filled with silence, but not an empty silence. It felt alive, as though the very walls held memories. Then a gentle sound broke the stillness. It was not the drip of water or the crackle of the torch. It was softer, like a distant hum. At first, Toma thought it was his imagination, but the sound grew clearer. It seemed to come from the very stones. Ina tilted her head, listening closely. It is like music, she whispered. The hum rose and fell, gentle and steady. It reminded them of wind through leaves or waves against the shore. It felt welcoming, not frightening. Toma's heart raced. These are the echoes of the ancestors. They built this chamber and their voices still live here. Ina closed her eyes, letting the hum wash over her. It is as if the chamber is alive, remembering what happened. Maybe this was the way the ancestors kept their knowledge, not only in carvings but in sound and stone. The hum guided their steps. Slowly they moved toward the far end of the chamber, where another passage waited. The glow of the crystals seemed to brighten slightly, as if encouraging them to continue. Before stepping into the passage, Toma looked back at the stone panels. They wanted us to see this. They wanted us to know that the gifts of the sky were real, and that they trusted us to find them again. Ina nodded firmly. Then we will not fail them. We will follow the echoes until we reach the heart of the vault. With that, they entered the passage. It was narrower and steeper, leading downward. The hum grew louder, filling the air like a gentle song. The walls shone faintly with crystals that seemed to pulse with the rhythm of the sound. Toma felt both small and strong at the same time. Small because the vault was so vast, built by hands that seemed guided by the stars themselves. Strong because he felt chosen, as if the ancestors had left this path for him and Ina to walk. As they descended, the hum became deeper, vibrating through their feet. The air grew cooler and the glow brighter. They sensed that something greater awaited them, something hidden for countless years. Finally, the passage opened to another chamber. A faint golden shimmer glowed at its center, different from the pale crystals. The hum surrounded them like a heartbeat. Toma and Ina stepped forward together, ready to see what lay beyond the echoes of the ancestors. The golden shimmer in the distance pulled Toma and Ina forward. Their steps echoed softly on the stone floor as the humming sound grew stronger around them. The air carried a warmth now, gentle yet steady, as if the chamber itself was breathing. At last they stepped into a wide, circular hall. It was unlike anything they had seen before. The walls were curved and lined with crystals that gave off a pale silver glow. At the center of the hall stood a great crystal dome, tall as a person and smooth as water. Inside the dome rested golden shards that gleamed faintly, as if touched by fire. Toma's breath caught in his throat. His torchlight bounced off the dome, but the golden glow inside seemed alive, shining on its own. The shards were arranged in patterns, some shaped like feathers, some like drops, and some like small discs. Together they looked like a bird with wide wings ready to take flight. Ina stepped closer, her eyes filled with awe. This must be the chamber of Skyfire. The ancestors placed the gold that fell from the sky in this crystal dome. It has been waiting for us all this time. Toma slowly reached out his hand. When his fingers touched the surface of the dome, it was cool at first, then warm, as if the crystal recognized his touch. A gentle hum spread through the chamber, deeper and stronger than before. Light patterns began to appear across the ceiling. Stars formed above them, moving slowly as if the night sky itself had entered the hall. Constellations glowed, then shifted, tracing paths across the dome. Toma and Ina stood in silence, watching the stars dance. "It remembers," Ina whispered. "This place remembers the heavens." The ancestors built it not only to guard the golden fragments, but to hold the memory of the sky. As the patterns moved, the golden shards inside the dome brightened. Their light reflected on the walls and on the faces of Toma and Ina. For a moment it felt as if they were standing in both the earth and the heavens at once. Toma placed both hands on the dome. The hum grew stronger, and the constellations above shifted more quickly. Some joined together, forming lines that pointed to passages carved in the walls of the hall. "Ina, look," Toma said. "The dome is showing us more paths. There are other chambers beyond this one." Ina nodded slowly. "It is a key. The dome is alive in some way. It is guiding us just as the star map did." They tested the dome further. When Toma pressed gently with his palm, a line of light moved across the ceiling toward one of the passages. When Ina placed her hand beside his, the line became brighter and clearer. Together their touch awakened the chamber fully. The stars above swirled and shone in great arcs of light. The two friends shared a glance, their hearts filled with wonder. "It answers only to harmony," Ina said. "Not to one alone, but to two who walk together." Encouraged by the signs, they walked toward the passage the dome had revealed. The stone steps led them into smaller rooms connected to the chamber of Skyfire. Each room held objects left by the ancestors. In the first room they found tools made of shining stone, shaped carefully for cutting, carving, and building. Though they looked ancient, they still gleamed as if new. In the second room they found stones that glowed softly in the dark, their light steady and calm. Ina lifted one and held it close. These are not torches, yet they shine. The ancestors used them to walk without fire. In the third room they found golden shards like the ones in the dome, but smaller and scattered across stone tables. Each shard was shaped differently, some like feathers, some like drops of water, and some like tiny circles. Toma picked up one shaped like a feather. It was light, yet when he held it, a warmth spread through his hand. "This is no ordinary gold," he said softly. "It carries the fire of the sky." Ina nodded in agreement. The ancestors called them gifts, not treasure. They were meant to guide, not to be hoarded. The hum from the chamber of Skyfire continued even as they explored. It seemed to follow them, wrapping the air in calm sound. Wherever they walked, the crystals in the walls shone more brightly, as if welcoming their presence. When they returned to the central dome, the constellations above had shifted again. This time the stars formed an image of a bird in flight, its wings stretching wide across the ceiling. The golden shards inside the dome glowed in the same shape, matching the stars. Ina gazed upward in awe. The ancestors built this vault not only as a place of keeping, but as a song to the heavens. Every light, every carving, every shard is part of their voice. Toma stood beside her, filled with a deep respect. And now that we have found it, the voice has awakened again. The ancestors wanted their children to remember, to know that the gifts of the sky were real. For a long time they stood in silence, watching the stars move across the ceiling. Neither spoke, for words seemed too small for the greatness before them. At last, Ina said quietly, "This is only the beginning. The dome showed us more paths. The vault holds more secrets than we can see today." Toma nodded. His eyes rested on the glowing shards inside the dome. "Then we must go further. We must learn all that the ancestors wish to share. The Chamber of Skyfire has opened the way, but the journey is not yet complete." Together they turned toward the next passage, hearts filled with courage. The hum of the chamber followed them, a song of the ancestors guiding their steps into the unknown depths of the vault. The passage from the Chamber of Skyfire was narrow and curved. Toma and Ina walked slowly, their torch in one hand and the glowing stone in the other. The hum of the dome still reached them, though softer now, like a distant song. The air grew cooler and carried the scent of fresh water. After some time, the passage widened into a chamber shaped like a circle. The ceiling rose high above, covered with carvings of birds in flight. In the center stood a platform of stone, smooth and shining. Around the platform were smaller stones arranged like seats. On each seat rested a crystal shaped like a shell. Toma stepped carefully onto the platform. The moment his foot touched the stone, a faint sound filled the chamber. It was a single note, soft but clear. When Ina stepped beside him, another note joined the first. Together they blended into a gentle harmony. Ina's eyes widened. "Do you hear it? The chamber sings with us," Toma nodded. This must be another test left by the ancestors. Not a test of strength, but of unity. They stood still, listening. The crystals on the seats glowed faintly, pulsing with the rhythm of the sound. Toma and Ina realized the chamber was waiting for them to act. Ina raised her voice softly. She sang a simple note, steady and clear. At once, one of the crystals glowed brighter, releasing a warm light. Encouraged, Toma added his voice, lower but calm. The sound of the chamber rose to meet them, joining their song. Slowly, the two friends sang together. They did not know the ancient songs of the ancestors, yet the chamber seemed to guide them. Every time their voices met in harmony, the crystals brightened. The carvings of birds on the ceiling seemed to shimmer as if alive. The platform beneath them began to glow with a golden light. Lines of fire spread outward, joining the seats around them. The chamber filled with brightness, and the hum turned into a full melody that wrapped around their hearts. Ina smiled, her eyes shining. It answers not to one voice alone. It needs two voices, balanced and true. Toma felt wonder flood through him. It is the test of harmony. Only those who stand together can open the path. When their song ended, the light from the crystals lingered. The carvings above shifted, revealing new shapes. The birds spread wider wings and pointed toward a hidden door at the far side of the chamber. The stone wall there trembled, then slowly parted, revealing another passage filled with golden glow. Toma and Ina stepped down from the platform. Their hearts beat quickly, but they felt no fear. They felt chosen. The ancestors had trusted not the strongest or the wealthiest, but those who could walk together in balance. The new passage led them into a series of smaller rooms. Each one held objects left by the ancestors. In the first room, they found stones that gave off steady light. Ina touched one and held it above her head. The whole room glowed as if filled with soft morning sun. In the second room, they found tools carved from crystal and golden shards. They were shaped for many uses, smooth and strong, but light in the hand. Toma lifted one shaped like a small blade. It shone without sharpness, as if made for cutting light rather than wood or stone. In the third room, they discovered golden feathers placed neatly on a stone table. Each feather was thin and delicate, but when Ina touched one, it gave off a faint glow. She set it back carefully, her eyes wide. "These were not meant as riches," she said. "They were gifts of knowledge meant to teach and guide," Toma agreed. The elders always spoke of treasure, but the ancestors gave something greater. They gave light and harmony. At the end of the passage, they returned once more to the Chamber of Skyfire. The dome stood unchanged, but the stars on the ceiling had shifted again. Now they showed two figures standing side by side, their hands raised together toward the heavens. Between them glowed a bird of light flying upward. Ina whispered, "The vault speaks in many ways. First with carvings, then with light, then with song. All of them say the same truth. Unity is the key, harmony is the way." Toma placed his hand on the dome once more. This time the golden shards inside glowed brighter than before, as if pleased. The hum grew deeper, filling the entire hall. For a moment both friends closed their eyes and listened. It felt as if the ancestors themselves were singing with them, their voices carried through stone and time. When they opened their eyes, Toma said quietly, "We passed the test, but the journey is not finished. The vault still has more to reveal." Ina smiled softly. "Then we must follow until the end. Whatever waits, we will face it together." The constellations above shifted again, this time pointing toward a higher passage that curved upward into darkness. Toma and Ina lifted their glowing stones, ready to climb. The chamber of skyfire sang behind them as they stepped onto the new path, their voices steady with hope. Toma and Ina climbed the curved stone passage. Their feet made soft sounds against the smooth surface. The air grew warmer as they rose, carrying a faint scent of flowers. The hum from the chamber of skyfire followed them, gentle but strong, as if guiding them upward. At the top, the passage opened into a wide platform. From here, they could see the sky through an opening in the stone ceiling. Sunlight streamed in, catching the dust and crystals in the air. The golden shards from the vault below reflected the sunlight, sending beams that danced across the walls. Ina stepped forward, shielding her eyes. "Look at it, Toma. The vault is alive with light." Toma nodded. "It is like the ancestors placed the sky inside the earth, and now it is coming back to the world." In the center of the platform stood a pedestal. Atop it rested a crystal similar to the dome in the chamber of skyfire. Golden shards lay arranged around it, glowing softly. When Toma and Ina approached, the shards seemed to hum in response to their presence. Toma reached out, his fingers hovering over one of the shards. The moment he touched it, a beam of golden light shot upward through the opening in the ceiling. It stretched into the sky, bright and steady, reaching toward the clouds. The air vibrated softly, filled with warmth and the faint music of the vault. Ina gasped. "It is signaling to the sky. The ancestors wanted the world to see." Toma felt a thrill in his chest. "And maybe it is calling to the stars themselves. Perhaps they will return." As they watched, the villagers from below began to gather at the edge of the forest. They had seen a faint light from the vault and came to see. Elders who had once told Toma that the stories were only legends now looked on with wide eyes. Hato, the oldest of the elders, stepped forward slowly. "It is true," he said. "The ancestors built it to connect us with the sky. They left gifts and now we see their work." Toma smiled. "The golden shards are not for treasure. They are a message, a reminder that we are part of something greater." Ina lifted one of the shards, holding it to the sunlight. The golden fragment shimmered, reflecting both the sky above and the vault below. "It is like a piece of the heavens," she said softly. As the day passed, the light from the vault continued to rise higher. Birds circled around the platform, drawn by the golden beams. The villagers whispered in awe. They had never seen anything so beautiful, so alive with meaning. Toma and Ina remained at the pedestal, watching as the golden light reached higher into the sky. "The ancestors trusted us to find this," Toma said. "It is a gift and a responsibility." Ina nodded. "We must protect it and share its story. The vault is not only for us, it is for everyone who will come after." The elders approached them carefully. Hato placed a hand on Toma's shoulder. "You have done well," he said. "You and Ina have shown courage, curiosity, and respect. The vault has chosen you as its guardians." Toma felt a warmth spread through his chest. "We will honor the ancestors and the gifts they left. We will make sure the vault's message is never forgotten." As the sun began to set, the light from the vault shifted. The golden beams bent slightly, forming shapes in the sky. For a brief moment, new constellations appeared, brighter than any the villagers had seen before. They sparkled like promises written in stars, as if the sky itself was answering the vault's call. Ina looked up, her eyes wide. "The sky is alive with the vault's message. The ancestors are speaking through it." Toma felt a sense of wonder unlike anything before, "and we are a part of it." The vault has shown us that we belong to the stars as much as to the earth. The villagers began to leave slowly, their hearts filled with hope and wonder. Some looked back at the golden beams, silent and amazed. Others whispered to their children, telling them that one day they might see the stars shine even brighter. Toma and Ina remained on the platform long after the villagers had gone. They watched the golden light fade slowly into the evening sky, leaving behind faint trails of shimmer. The hum of the vault continued softly, like a heartbeat of the earth and the stars combined. Finally, Ina spoke. "It is time to return, Toma. The vault has given its gift to the world, but it is still ours to protect." Toma nodded. "Yes, and we must remember everything we learned. The ancestors built the vault not only to guard their treasures, but to teach us. Harmony, courage, and respect are the true gifts." Together they turned back toward the passage that led down into the vault. The golden shards glowed faintly in the shadows, guiding their steps. They knew that the journey was not over. The vault had shown them the sky, but it still held more secrets, waiting for those who were ready to listen. As they descended, the stars above began to shine brighter, reflecting the light from the vault. Toma and Ina felt a quiet joy. The sky had returned, and with it a promise of wonders yet to come. Toma and Ina walked carefully down the passage from the vault. The golden light of the shards above faded behind them, but the memory of its glow stayed in their hearts. The hum of the vault had become softer now, like a gentle sigh, as if the ancestors were resting after their long watch. When they reached the forest floor, the villagers had returned to their homes, but many had stopped along the path to look back at the hidden entrance. The sun was low in the sky, painting the trees with gold and orange. The forest seemed calmer, as if it had welcomed the light from the vault and would hold it forever. Toma turned to Ina. "We saw the vault. Ina, we saw the stars in stone, the golden fragments, and the message of the ancestors. Now what do we do?" Ina smiled. "We protect it, and we teach others what it means. Not the gold, not the shiny fragments, but the harmony, the courage, and the care the ancestors showed." They decided to return to the village together. The elders waited for them at the edge of the forest. Hato, the oldest elder, stepped forward. His eyes were soft but bright. "You have returned," he said, "and you carry the story of the vault. The ancestors trusted you, and now you are its guardians." Toma bowed respectfully. "We will honor the vault and the gifts it has shown us. We will make sure everyone knows its lesson," Ina nodded. "The vault is more than treasure. It is knowledge. It is a connection to the stars, and we must keep that connection alive." That night, the villagers gathered outside to look at the sky. New stars shone brighter than before, and faint constellations appeared that no one had ever seen. The children pointed and laughed in wonder, and the elders whispered quietly, remembering stories they had thought were only legends. Toma and Ina stood together, watching the sky. The golden fragments they had seen inside the vault were not meant to be taken. They were meant to guide and to teach. The ancestors had built the vault to protect these gifts, not for wealth, but for the future. Ina spoke softly. The stars answered. "They showed themselves because we were ready to understand." Toma nodded. "Yes, and the vault has given us a promise. One day, perhaps, the visitors from the stars may return, but until then the responsibility is ours." Over the following days, the villagers began to celebrate the vault quietly. They cleared the paths around the hidden entrance, not to take anything, but to honor the place. They taught the children the stories of the ancestors and the golden fragments that fell from the sky. Songs were sung that told of harmony and courage. Toma and Ina often returned to the vault together. Each time the hum welcomed them, gentle and soft, guiding them to remember. Sometimes the golden shards inside seemed brighter, as if they were alive and aware of their guardians. One evening, Toma and Ina stood outside the vault, looking up at the stars. The new constellations shone clearly, reflecting the vault below. Toma smiled. "The legacy of the ancestors is alive. It will live as long as we remember and teach it." Ina nodded, her eyes reflecting the starlight. "The vault is a reminder that true treasure is not gold alone. It is knowledge, care, and the harmony between people and the world around them." The villagers often joined them under the stars, listening to the stories and songs. Even the elders, who had once doubted the legends, now told the tales with reverence. The vault had changed them all, not by giving riches, but by showing the greatness of the ancestors and the wonders of the sky. Toma held a small golden shard in his hand. He did not touch it for wealth. He touched it to feel the warmth and light of the stars, to remember the lessons of courage and unity. Ina placed her hand beside his. Together they watched the sky, feeling the heartbeat of the vault and the connection to the stars. In time, the villagers told the story far beyond the forest. Travelers came to see the hidden entrance, and children listened to tales of the golden fragments, learning that the greatest treasure is understanding and respect. Toma and Ina grew older, but they never forgot the vault. Every year, under the clear night sky, they returned to honor it. The golden light inside the crystal dome, the hum of the chamber, and the dancing stars above reminded them that the ancestors' gifts were alive and that humans, too, were part of something greater. At the end of the day, Toma looked at Ina and smiled. "The vault is ours to protect, not to own. Its story will live as long as the stars shine." Ina nodded. "And one day someone else will find the path just as we did. The sky will always answer those who are ready to listen." Together they watched the stars. The vault below rested in silence, holding the golden fragments, the light, and the lessons of the ancestors. Above, the sky shimmered with new constellations, as if reminding everyone that humans and stars share the same story. And in that quiet night, the forest, the vault, and the heavens all seemed to sing together, a song of harmony, courage, and the legacy of gold that fell from the sky.